You take the leap. You come here because for some reason, something inside of you is like stirring, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, I just like need to do it. And you don't know why, and it doesn't make sense. So you try to make sense of it. You find a school, you find a community, you find a job, you find all this. And now it's like starting to make sense. But it doesn't really make sense because your family and everything you know is there, right? Yeah. So at some point, you just have to take the leap and say, I'm jumping in. Head first, I'm jumping in, and let's see how it goes. Mm-hmm. And then you get here, and you have to just keep that mindset. Day by day, one day at a time, nothing is going to go as you planned because we're living in the land where we don't plan. Hashem plans. So if you're in the land where Hashem is planning, on one hand, maybe it's harder because you have to let go of your plans. But on the other hand, like, sit back and relax.
Welcome to JLM Unplugged, a podcast about Olim for Olim. I am Gabi Danielle.
And I'm Michal Cohn. We are Aliyah coordinators for the Jerusalem Municipality. We are here to assist and navigate Olim in their Aliyah journey from the initial planning to final landing and beyond.
Join us as we bring you life stories, experiences, and special guests that you know and love here from our capital city. JLM Unplugged. Welcome to JLM Unplugged. We're here with a very special guest, Danielle Renov, a Good Morning America star, an author, a mother, an Olah, and a very, very influential person in the Jewish world for Jewish women, religious Jewish women, and men as well. Peas, love, and carrots. Ranges from Sephardi cuisine to Ashkenazi cuisine to new, innovative food stuff. Like and the dumplings. Martha Stewart of Judaism.
He nailed
Welcome.
That, huh?
Welcome.
Wow. I don't know how anyone's ever going to beat that.
All in one breath.
Yeah, it was so good.
Michal and I, we read something that you wrote that you hated writing a cookbook.
Or you said something like writing a cookbook is the worst idea in the world.
No, it is. Yeah,
Can
it's
you
horrible.
please explain that? Because you did write a cookbook.
Right.
I love cooking. I love making recipes. In the beginning, I didn't love the science, like having to quantify the recipes, like being exact with teaspoons and tablespoons and cups. But I actually learned to appreciate that. And I love all of that. I actually like writing, like creative writing and things like that. But writing a cookbook is very little creative writing because it's mostly like, it's a blurb. It's like 4 lines at the beginning of each recipe, which actually I thoroughly enjoyed. But it's the entire process of a cookbook really actually takes place, most of the process, behind a computer. Okay. And if you're like a very high energy person, I'm pretty sure you're going to relate to this. Okay. In our limited time we've known each other. Right. Sitting behind a computer is a form of torture for some people.
Oh, tell me all about that.
Yeah. So that's just it. It's a lot of back and forth editing. There is no end to editing. No matter how many times you edit something, there is always mistakes. The book goes to print. It goes to print with mistakes. There is no option. Like, there are people that have edited the manuscript 20 times. They are certain they caught everything and they just did it. It is not possible. But like, that's how it goes. I actually have like Sidurim that have like a mistake in it.
Yeah,
or
typos
like, like you find little typos or things. It's just impossible to catch everything. And that part for me, like the sitting behind the computer screen was like really torturous. And that's months. Like months, wake up every day, get back to the computer.
So let's say peas, love, and carrots. How long did that take you?
We started in September. All the recipes were developed by February, but we did the first set of photos in New York. We had to do the photos in New York because we had a very short time. Like, I signed the contract in May, and the book had to be submitted, fully completed in February.
How long ago was this?
Wow.
2019. So May 2019, and it was...
So post-COVID.
No, pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
It was supposed to...
2020.
The book was supposed to come out May 2020.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So...
That would have helped.
Well, everyone was stuck in their houses.
Yeah,
so
it was crazy.
Thank you, Hashem. That's big time Siyata Dishmaya that we got there.
Yes, thank God. In November, we had over 254 recipes to photograph. So it was really, really insane. So we did the first set of photos in the end of November, 2 weeks the end of November in New York, and then the second set the first 2 weeks of February, also in New York, because here, you can't really photograph everything at once. Very hard produce-wise. Like, because we have to operate seasonality, and we didn't have a full year. Like, we could have done 4 separate photo shoots, but we didn't have a year to complete the seasonal cycle here. So there was just no way. So it had to be out of the country. And for me, America is just the easiest step because my parents and my in-laws are both in New York, getting everything done there. It was actually like very hard for me to leave. The first time I left by myself, it was like a little less than 2 weeks because I didn't stay the Shabbos before, the Shabbos after. Like, I left here Motzei Shabbos, Sunday morning, got there, we started shooting. Like, it was crazy. But that environment I loved. I was in like a cooking studio, food stylist, prop stylist, photographer. We were creating. Like, it was high energy. Everybody in there was a creative person. And I think that creative people like to be around creative people.
I think so,
like,
sure. It sounds like Gordon Ramsay show here.
no, it wasn't like that at all. It wasn't high stress. It wasn't stressed out. We were very, very organized. You have to go into a photo shoot for a cookbook organized because you need to buy the ingredients, to buy all the equipment. You need to know what you're making because it's expensive. Like, so food, you can't waste. So you have to be organized, which is good because that's also that was a hard part for me also. Like, that's not a skill of mine.
What's the secret to making the vegetables like shiny? Because I've seen people putting like gloss on it. And stuff.
My book is 100%. 100%. Everything came out of the oven or out of the pot or cut up a fresh salad and was photographed within actual seconds. Seconds of coming out. That really is the key to cookbook photography, is really just taking, like, food unfortunately has like cooked food has a shelf life. Sorry, I have like a hair on me. Has like a shelf life, and it actually will start to wilt and, look less appealing as it sits out. Even fresh food, because the lettuce will start to turn and whatever. The cucumbers will start to dry out, things like that. So we really were just, cook, plate, photograph, done. Like, move on to the next one. So nothing is fake. In the industry, though, there is a lot of that, like, let's say for magazines, things like that, because a magazine is taking a picture of one item, right? So they're not cooking like they only have to cook that one item in a day. So they could cook it 400 times, but they can also manipulate it where they only have to cook it one time, and like that's a part of a bigger business. Here, the cookbook is the business. So it's like a different situation.
And who came up with all the recipes? Did you sit down?
Yeah.
Every single one. 240.
Well, some of them are my mother's. Some are my grandmother's. One is my aunt, and actually my grandmother, like my father's mother, who passed away when I was 2. So like I didn't really know her. But so I love that. Like I actually have the handwritten recipe of hers that like my father gave me a photocopy of. So like that's so cool. And then there's like 1 or 2 from like friends that over the years that I collected. So like it's like called like the friend's name and the recipe, because I don't know, it's just yeah. It's good.
So how'd you get into cooking? You grew up where?
I grew up in the 5 towns. Also my husband. My mother's Moroccan.
Okay, there we go. That's the spice.
Yeah. She was born
There's the kicker.
Exactly.
It's not like what you filter fish with like
no
fake spicy green.
No.
This is like the real stuff here.
Yeah. My mother.
Even though don't get me wrong, people, I love Ashkenazi cholent. Greatest invention. Schnitzel, kugel.
No, schnitzel's good.
Sephardi food is just a different cuisine.
Right. It has a lot of flavor. My mother was born in Morocco, but she grew up in Paris. And my grandmother really spent, she lived in Miami with a bunch of my aunts and uncles, but she would come and spend months at a time by us. Right. And my grandfather passed away when my mother was a child. So she was, anyway, she would go from child to child. And she was just, the most unbelievable cook. My mother's an unbelievable cook. My aunts are unbelievable cooks. And just food is a very big part of the culture. Not only cooking the food, but eating the food. Also, Jews in general.
And
that's not
people.
Unique. Yeah.
You got to feed people.
I once heard somebody say, to summarize Jewish holidays is to say, we were persecuted, we fought, we ate.
Right.
Yeah. It feels accurate.
It's so true.
I've definitely heard that a few times.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like it was so ingrained in me. Also, I am the oldest child. So, obviously, I feel like oldest children unite. The oldest children listening to this will relate. Yeah, you just end up doing a lot of stuff.
What made you put an Ashkenaz food on the cover of your cookbook?
So actually, we had a different cover, all set, ready to go. If you open the book, it's actually the inside cover, because it's a beautiful picture and it's one of my favorite recipes. But I don't know. I was like, it's not like telling my story. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And a cover is so important. And there's all these rules in the cooking world about what's supposed to go on a cover, what's not supposed to go on a cover. Like soup is not supposed to go on a cover. Okay.
Really?
And I was just going back and forth with the food stylist, and I was like, I feel like I need something that represents me, something Moroccan, Ashkenaz. Yeah. And she is not even Jewish and was like, there's nothing more Jewish than a matzo ball.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I could work with a matzo ball. So we made like a Moroccan matzo ball soup.
Oh, cool.
And it's
Hence the chickpeas I see.
Yeah, there's chickpeas, saffron.
You got excited there.
Harissa, like lots of really good Moroccan flavors, but with a delicious matzo ball cooked in that broth. It's actually excellent. Wow. It's very delicious. Yeah, it's like light and yummy, but I felt like it was like a better representation of what you were going to find in the book.
And the title, Peas, Love, and Carrots, where did that come from?
My husband traveled a lot, and eventually it switched from like 3 weeks to whatever 2 weeks, and then for many years, like over 10 years, it was every other week he was going, including Shabbos, and it was just a lot and hard, and I had a lot of little kids, and I was just actually bored, like in a rut, bored. And one night in the middle of the night, I had seen a few months before Instagram. I was with my mother in the Citadel Hotel sitting by the pool, and somebody there who had an Instagram account was like, oh, you don't know what Instagram is? I'm like, no, we live in Israel. Like, we know everything later. Yeah. Like, if you know, wait 5 years, and then we'll know.
We're still watching the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah, we don't know anything. And she actually like put it on my phone, and I didn't even know there was Jewish Instagrammers at the time. I mean, there wasn't so many. There was very few. But I found like chefs that I actually looked up to and admired and things, and following them. And then I saw that there were Jewish girls doing it, and I was like, you know what? Like, I could just post my dinner every night. I make dinner every night. Like, maybe that would like fuel like my creativity, and that's so good, because I think also like if you're a creative person, just sitting in that is not good. Like, you have to find a way to express it, and I was bored. I had very little adult interaction because I was with my kids all day. My husband was only at home every other week, and like I just needed to connect.
Where were you living in Jerusalem at the time?
In the same apartment, actually.
Same apartment. Wow.
Yeah, in Rechavia.
Mostly Anglos.
Yeah, Rechavia is pretty mixed, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like people think that, but it's actually a lot of French people.
Okay.
Shout out to the French, Aliyah people. A lot of also Israelis that like whose parents were American.
Okay.
You know, so they're like already like less American.
Yeah. No, because they would find interesting. I'm saying the Americans would like be more interested, I think.
Right. I think it's not as American as like some other places. I'm saying our kids end up a little more Israeli than some other neighborhoods.
Are you closer to Shari Chesed side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like literally right there.
Okay, so that's pretty Anglo.
It's really mixed. Like I mean, I guess more. It's a lot of European also, like a lot of Belgian, Swiss, English. Yeah, no, it's actually a pretty big mix. Also, like hashkafically, Rechavia is a pretty big mix. I actually really like love it for that. And we like, I'm trying to think, even like one of my daughter's best friends, her parents were already born in Israel, right? So it's like it's her grandparents that were American. My third daughter, her best friend is Israeli, like no English. Her mother's French.
Okay.
So like it's a pretty good, I don't know, pretty good mix. But I was anyway bored because my husband wasn't around. And one night in the middle of the night, I was like, you know, I could start an Instagram. So I just was like typing in different names, and nothing was working because it was already taken. And then Peas, Love, and Carrots literally just popped in my head.
Wow.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, sounds good. And I just went with it. And it's been Peas, Love, and Carrots ever since.
It's a great name.
I feel like it is. I feel like I love it.
It's playing off of peace, love, right?
Yeah, peace, love, and happiness.
Yeah.
Peas, love, like peas,
awesome.
you know? And like that's all we want, you know?
Yeah.
Peas,
Sounds
love,
healthy.
some good food. Yeah.
Sounds healthy. Some vegan people can eat that as well.
You know, sometimes people have messaged me like, I thought you were a vegan account. Why are you vegan? It's happened once or twice. And I'm like, sorry. And right now we're like knee deep in a new book series that we're putting out. So it's actually taking over my entire life. It's called Micro Peas. Okay. I love it. They're mini cookbooks basically, but mini in size actually. You know, like children's first reader books.
Yeah.
Right.
It's actually exactly that size.
Yeah, it has fluffy things to touch.
No.
It makes sounds.
First Reader's like a brand of like kids books, like Bobby plays baseball,
Right.
you know, and he's like holding a baseball
Right.
bat on the cover.
Yeah.
Like, can you picture those?
Right, the small ones.
Yeah, no, they're like this big. It's actually the size, like almost the size of a machberet, an Israeli
Right.
machberet.
What was the reason that you wanted to do that?
So I didn't want to ever write another cookbook, but I started seeing it's been like 5 years and I was getting like antsy. And I wanted to give people more of what they want and less of what they don't want.
Right.
And I, in my own house, was having like multiple Shabbosim. Like every Shabbos, I feel like a lot of Jewish moms, like you make a buns cake because like you need a buns cake on the cake plate. Like, you know, it's like in the kitchen somewhere for Shabbos morning for people to have. And I found myself like looking for buns cake recipes, and every book only had one bun cake recipe, or maybe 2 bun cake, maybe 3 bun cakes. So it was like opening book, looking through the internet, but like I don't know if it's good. Does it adapt? Because obviously they're all dairy. Because why would you make a parve cake if you don't have to, like, you know? And I was like, oh, I wish there was a book of buns cakes. And then I was like, there needs to be a book of buns cakes.
Wow.
And that's how this all started. And so our first topic is actually not buns cakes. Well, you know, I had to get my feet wet with like an area I'm more comfortable in.
Right.
So our first topic is actually boneless chicken, which, yes. See?
You're like,
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
I can't
Pre-order.
I can't. It's so hard for me. I don't know if you really, but to cut the chicken off the bone.
My husband won't do it either.
I
Will
can't
not
do it.
touch the bone. It has to be cut for him.
Yeah,
He's
I
an
can't. It's
adult
just-
male that won't cut up his
I was never
chicken.
into science. I was never into like dissecting little
Yeah,
pigs.
him all. He's like one step away from being a vegetarian, which is why we cut the chicken for him, because I just can't. It's too much for me. I'm like a celiac and a vegetarian. No. But so it's all boneless chicken, like pargiot and schnitzel, so white meat and dark meat, and it's like 18 recipes in one spot. So when you defrost or when you buy boneless chicken and you don't know what to make for dinner, there's 18 recipes in one place. That means you can go through the book once a month without ever repeating a recipe. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not going to get bored. All the recipes are diverse in flavor profile. All of them, every single one of them, except for one, are very, very easy to make. That was like very important to me because I know people are just not in a place in life right now where they want a pachka. Right. There's like a lot going on in the world and nobody is sitting there like, you know.
So I wanted to ask, you said that Peas, Love, and Carrots came out in Israel.
Yes.
So when you came to Israel, was this something that
No.
you started doing right away?
No.
So what made you come and then just start all of this?
When we moved to Israel, I was in school. So like we got married and I was in Stern, and then I switched to Turo because we knew we were coming here. But then my husband really wanted to make Aliyah, like officially.
You got married already in New York?
In New York.
Okay.
And then, but at that time, I don't know how it works here anymore. You couldn't go to Turo here if you made Aliyah.
Right.
Still the same thing.
Oh, is it still the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing? It's such a crazy law.
It's interesting because it gives people the option to study here, get their American degree, so to speak, and then decide if they want to officially
Right.
make Aliyah.
Right. So
Instead of being thrown into the whole system immediately.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So for me, it didn't work because he didn't
And
want
it's
me to be
American
locked
tuition as
in. Oh, is it really?
I think so, yeah. It's not Israeli tuition.
Right. He didn't want me to be like locked into not making Aliyah. Even though I would have finished before, but whatever. Hindsight, you know? I ended up going to Ma'alot, and I was doing psychology because that's like kind of what my parents wanted. And I really didn't like it. I mean, I actually think it's very interesting and fascinating, but I didn't want to like be a therapist.
Right.
I didn't want to sit. I'm not a very...
Yeah, for someone with so much energy.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine
Also,
it.
I have like a lot of... I'm not a dweller of my own feelings or problems. Like, actually, like, probably I could use a little more dwelling in my feelings. You know what I mean? So, like, I definitely don't know how I would react to somebody else being in there.
Right.
Like, I don't think I would... It's not a good fit for me, you know? Like, and so then I just didn't do anything for a few years because degree, like a basic degree in psychology is kind of useless. Like, you need a,
you
know...
need to have
more education. And I started cooking for people like that were coming to America to visit. My mother would have friends, they're coming, they need Shabbos food, this and that. And I would make them schnitzel, soup, whatever.
Like a catering,
basic.
like a Shabbos
yeah, but
catering.
like little and very, very basic. And actually after like a year or like 2.5 years, I was like, no way, this is not for me. I just can't make chicken soup and schnitzel for people on a weekly basis. So boring. And then I was doing my own thing with my kids. We were making parsha cakes every week, and we were doing the kitchen destinations, and we were cooking together. But over time, I did need more of like my own adult type of outlet and to connect to people. And that's how like it just started. I just literally in the middle of the night was like, I could do this. And I just started posting pictures of my dinners. A few days in, one of my friends said to me, like, Danielle, she called me and she was like, Danielle, if you post another picture without a recipe, I am unfollowing you. And I was like, you want the recipe right there? And she's like, yes. I was like, oh, okay. And actually people on Instagram weren't really doing that at the time. Like they were saying, go to my blog, click the link to go to my website or whatever. And I was like, all right, I could put the recipe there. It's not a big deal. And I started and it just, whoa. Like Hashem was just like, yes, this is what I was waiting for you. This is what you were meant to do. Go.
Do you feel like the business would be easier for you if you were in America and not in Israel?
No, that's what's so crazy. Totally not. First of all, it would have never happened if I was in America, because I probably would have continued my education. And I don't know, I feel like living here on my own, not on my own, with meaning me and my husband on our own without our parents and siblings and whatever.
Enabled like to openness.
Yeah, also confidence in myself and like to figure out what I like, what I want to do, you know?
Makes you more independent.
Yeah. And so that definitely contributes to figuring out what you want to do, is also knowing who you are and being confident in your own shoes. But also, actually, I think it's a huge advantage for me that I'm 7 hours ahead. Because
that's true, right?
Yeah, because my kids go to school in the morning and I work and create content, which is doesn't really feel like content creation to me, because I'm just like kind of showing you my life and my day. But then by the time my kids come home, like let's say the beginning at 2, I'm done. Like everything is there. You wake up in the morning, you see my whole day. It's there. I posted recipes for you. I already made dinner. And now I'm just like devoted to my kids. Like that's pretty awesome. Like I don't know how it would work if I was in America. Like would I constantly
be up the whole night?
Also I wouldn't be making dinner at 8 in the morning. So then people wouldn't be able to make dinner with me because they'd be a day behind me. Now I make dinner at 2 in the afternoon, and for them it's 7 in the morning, you know, or 8 in the morning, whatever I can do.
So how's the whole social media world for you? Like once you got involved, all these fans.
No
fans.
I've like people are chill, like very cool. Like my inbox is awesome. Like a lot of really nice, amazing people that just either are like very positive about recipes, which is great. Very positive. Like if I ever like do. Like open up in a more vulnerable way. It doesn't happen so often, but if it does, like I found people to be very supportive and very kind, very loving and accepting. I myself feel that I try to accept everybody for who they are and love everybody. So I feel like that's just kind of the community that is the community that we've all created in Peas Loving Carrots. And I don't know, just like a very nice, it's nice. I don't know how, it's like a pretty wonderful situation for me on Instagram.
Do you feel like you specifically chose to be in Jerusalem because it's more like the city center? And
so when we moved, I wanted to go to Tzfat.
Oh, wow.
Really?
My husband wanted to go to Shalavim.
Really? Wow. So you're like he's like a classic YU dude then.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we ended up in Yerushalayim. No, so he was like, I'm not going to Tzfat, so no. Okay. Yeah. And we ended up, we're like, okay, Yerushalayim. I wanted to go.
Good compromise.
I was like, well, let's go to Har Nov, because like that's where I went to seminary. Right. So like he's like, no. Literally no. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I don't know, Rechavia was just like a natural, like, okay, Rechavia, great,
and
amazing.
You made a community for yourself in Rechavia?
Yeah, I love Rechavia. I would never live anywhere else. It's amazing. Like, Baruch Hashem, also my kids are happy. So like, if your kids are happy,
that's the most important.
So you feel like it was the right decision.
Yeah. I'm not like so, I'm definitely a little bit more easygoing in terms of these things. Like if you put me in the middle of like Iran, it might be hard for me, but I'd work it out. I'd find a neighbor to be friends with. You know what I mean? Like
jasmine rice.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm saying, things like that I could adapt well. Like I'm pretty flexible in those areas. So I feel like I could make friends, like because I have a desire to make friends. You know what I mean? I need social outlets. Yeah. So it was good. And Rechabi is great because it's the center of Yerushalayim. I had a lot of access to the Shuk, which probably also played a huge part in how I ended up doing what I was doing. Because when we moved here, this summer will be 18 years.
Wow.
And there was no Osherad. There was no
Rami Levy.
There was no Rami Levy.
Right. What was there?
There was no Yesh. There was nothing. There was
Wow.
nothing. There was makolas.
Wow.
There was like cheaper coal, which was like very far from my house, and we didn't have a car. So like we went to cheaper coal like before Pesach to get like American ingredients because there was also no Pesach ingredients, and there was the Shuk. So I would literally take my stroller and go to the Shuk every single day and just wander up and down the alleyways. And it's crazy because some of these vendors in the Shuk, I feel like they have really seen me grow up because they met me.
For 18 years. They know you.
Yeah, they met me when I was 20.
Wow.
And now I'm like not 20, though I feel like I'm 20, but I'm not. And they've watched my life. Like they've seen me when my oldest, who's 17 now, was 6 weeks old. Like it's crazy. And
They should get Instagram.
yeah, and
They should follow you.
no, it's
See what
wild
you're doing
because
with their
even the Shuk
tomatoes.
has changed.
Yeah, major.
I mean, the Shuk
Shuk
had
life.
when we moved, there
Yeah.
was no infrastructure. There was no plumbing in the Shuk. There was like, which is crazy because you're like Danielle, like it's only 18 years, but literally we moved right before everything changed in this country. So we moved when life
Klal
here was
like
still
the favelas. of
yeah,
Jerusalem.
yeah. Life here was like primitive, and then within a few years it wasn't. Like we didn't have Ziploc bags, we didn't have real paper towels, we didn't
Toilet
have
paper was,
vanilla extract. Yeah, we didn't have any of that. But within a few years we did. So like we had like very few years where like things were still basic.
things.
So are you like meeting a lot of young Olim? I feel like a lot of young girls, maybe that are fresh out of seminary, they probably all know you, first of all.
I don't know.
I'm sure they do.
I meet a lot of them. I think it's actually like, on one hand, it's much easier, I think, to make Aliyah today for sure because of technology, right? Like when we moved, there was no FaceTime, there wasn't smartphones. So even just staying in contact with your parents, like at one point there was, what was it called that we used to do to talk to our parents? Skype. There was Skype.
I was going to say ICQ, but I think that was way before people started.
There was Skype, and that wasn't even right away. That was like a year or two later. And it just like was very not good. Like not clear or anything. And then like now with iPhones and FaceTime and WhatsApp video and WhatsApp and things like that, you can really like stay much more in touch with your family. So I think if you're making Aliyah without your family, that's for sure a benefit. But at the same time, also just the access to products and familiarity of like being able to go to the store and see a product that you're used to buying in America. But I remember actually when I moved here, one of the things that really overwhelmed me, which is so crazy, is that I was just constantly like, but where am I going to get this? like when I was pregnant with Yecheskel Meir, my oldest, I remember saying to my husband, like, do they sell cribs? Like, where are the cribs? Because you don't know. Like, you're here in seminary. You're not in the mall paying attention to a baby store. You don't even know that baby store exists. Where do you get it from? And there was no WhatsApp groups.
Right.
So, like, who are you going to ask? Like, where do you get this stuff from? And now you guys have WhatsApp groups. Like, you're way luckier. Like,
Israel is involved. Like,
amazing.
Everything. It's one big Costco.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm saying even Osherad, the fact that you could go to one supermarket and buy everything. When Osherad opened, that was like
a miracle.
Wow, this store
especially
is
for
so
observant
big.
Jews.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Amazing. So many products with good hachsherim or more stringent hachsherim, and it was just, I don't know. So I feel like on one hand, making Aliyah is definitely easier now on a technical level. On a practical level, maybe it's harder for some people because of COVID, right? Like the reality that maybe you could be stuck here and not go back to see your family, or obviously maybe for some people the war, even though I've been back to America twice since the war started, and I don't know, America feels very scary to me. Super duper scary. Like I feel much safer here. So whatever, the point is that I understand why it could be harder potentially for some people to take the leap and make Aliyah. But I think that Aliyah kind of is that. I think it's a leap for everybody because the pieces never fall into place perfectly. Even if you think they do, you get here and you're like,
okay, it's not
what we
plan
planned.
C, forget B, round C.
Plan C, I'll invite you. But you take the leap you come here because for some reason something inside of you is like stirring, right? You're like, I just like need to do it. And you don't know why, and it doesn't make sense. So you try to make sense of it. You find a school, you find a community, you find a job, you find all this, and now it's like starting to make sense. But it doesn't really make sense because your family and everything you know is there, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, you just have to take the leap and say, I'm jumping in. Head first, I'm jumping in, and let's see how it goes. And then you get here, and you have to just keep that mindset. Day by day, one day at a time, nothing is going to go as you planned because we're living in the land where we don't plan. Hashem plans. So if you're in the land where Hashem is planning, on one hand, maybe it's harder because you have to let go of your plans. But on the other hand, like, sit back and relax.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and in a way, it really is that, because I find, even with my husband, like, his business ventures and like the things that brought him, like, when you look back, how one thing led to the next thing, led to the next thing, led to the next thing, like, Hashem is just guiding you every step of the way. And of course, wherever you live in the world, Hashem is guiding you.
Yeah, but here it's, you feel it or you see it more.
Yeah, you feel it very strongly here. And so I think to make the leap, to make Aliyah, is definitely a very brave thing to do, but it's also a really beautiful thing because it opens you up to living your life in the way that Hashem wants you to live. And you come here, and then you thought you were going to be a teacher. I actually know somebody, she was like an English teacher for a while, like that was like her job, whatever. And then she ended up having to move out of her apartment, and she was like, oh, I feel like I could be a real estate. She's like a real estate agent now.
Wow.
Like, that's it. I have a different friend who did like Wurzweiler, she was a social worker, whatever, and then she's like, also moved. She's like, I feel like I could be an interior designer.
Wow.
Went and took some courses.
She's
an interior designer now.
It's a really good job.
Like, everybody is like, you just, I don't know. There's room to explore here and
reinvent yourself as well.
Yeah, or just, you can sort of make things work here in a way it doesn't work in America because everything's so clinical outside of Israel, like A, B, C, D, follow the steps, follow the systems, need a degree, need this. And here there is a little more room for like coloring outside the lines.
I feel like everyone's exploring here.
Yeah.
It's big people. A lot of people think out of the box here.
People are also open to you exploring here.
Yeah.
So they're open to a makeup artist just starting her business and hiring her even though she's only has 2 months experience, you know? Like, oh, okay, your price is good. You say you're good. You show me some pictures. Great, I'll try you out.
In America, it's like, show me your resume.
Yeah, it's like everything's just more clinical there. Here, I think there's just a lot of opportunity. And maybe for some people it's harder because you have to actually dig deeper here.
Right. It's more real. Everyone's real.
Right. But then there are lawyers, doctors, accountants. Yeah. There's everything here. So if that's your thing, go.
Yeah, go for it. Enjoy
it's
it.
amazing. Right. There's also job opportunities here for that. I don't know. And then I think one of the things I hear a lot about Aliyah from people is in terms of their kids and schooling and things like that. And I always tell them the same thing. Like, I never had kids in America. So I went to school in America, but I was never a parent in a school system in America. But as a child, I loved school. Like, I loved it. I loved where I came from. I didn't leave America because I was running away from it. I loved it. I love the 5 towns. Like, if I didn't live here, I'd probably live there.
No, it's great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was amazing.
Kosher, glad kosher. What's that?
No, gourmet glad.
Gourmet glad.
Not a 5 towner.
I'm not a 5 towns, but I love it. Gourmet glad.
Yeah, it's gourmet glad's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's awesome. It's great. Pomegranate. They have that in Brooklyn.
No. Okay. It's like a different world. Different world. But I don't know. It was really amazing. And what were we saying?
About your children growing up here.
Oh, kids.
Listen, you'd have to pay like $50,000.
I know as a kid. Yeah. Also, it's very expensive in America. But also, like, there's definitely hardships to education in America, for sure. Right? And then you come here, and it's not that it's like roses and unicorns and rainbows.
Definitely not.
It's just that there's challenges that are different. So people will say, like, no, the education system in Israel is too hard. It's not too hard. It's just different. Right. So you have to leave behind the challenges because the challenges you have in America, we actually don't deal with here.
Right.
Like, the school system here is a public school system. So a lot of those challenges kind of dissipate because when you're in a public system, like, everything is more out of whatever. It's more just it's run differently. That's it. It's just run differently. And the challenges that are different, you can learn how to navigate them because people have come before us,
Right.
and you can talk to people, and you can get advice, and you can seek out wisdom from others who have been through it.
And our office is here to help you as well.
Obviously, JLM Unplugged. I think you just have to, when you come with children here, you have to submit to the system.
Right. That's a good point.
I think that people that fight the system, that school system, when they come here, the school system fights you back because it's Israeli,
right,
you know?
100%.
But if you embrace the system, and there's multiple systems here, so you can actually choose a system that is like the most comfortable for you to exist in. If you embrace it, it will embrace you back. And then that's 90% of the job, because 10% of it is anyway just from Hashem. Like, is the kid going to succeed in school or not succeed in school? That outcome is going to happen whether you're in America or whether you're here. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not going to change because you move to Israel. I don't think, at least.
I was going to ask you, have you adapted to Israeli culture?
In some ways, I mean,
you can't take the 5 towns out of the 5 towns.
My kids take buses, from very young ages.
No, the reason I was asking is like, how about maybe this is thinking a little bit in the future, joining MasterChef.
Actually, MasterChef reached out to me.
Wow, I love that show. I love MasterChef, and there's another one.
Mischakei Chef.
Yeah, she knows.
Yeah.
Have you worked with any Israelis?
So I would say not as much as like I probably could, but now that we opened the studio here officially, so that only opens like a year ago. Until now, my business really only existed on Instagram, and we put out a cookbook, and we're making cooking videos, which I was for a while doing for kosher.com, and then I was either flying into America or we were producing with ILTV here in Israel. And those were so fun to do in Israel. But now we actually opened a studio because we have to put out the micro P's, and those micro books come out like 3 times a year. Okay. So we needed studio space to photograph, and renting it out 3 times a year was the same as just.
Is there going to be tasting at the studio?
It depends. If you give us notice, there'll be tastings.
We'll make some things happen.
Yeah.
What about like a future maybe nice restaurant in the Shuk?
No restaurants. No restaurants.
Catering?
No.
That's a little bit too high energy.
No, it's not too high. I think
PLC,
to operate.
come and join us.
No, but to operate a really good restaurant, you really need to be there 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And for me, like a mother first, which I want to say, biggest plug to Israel. That is the best thing about Israel. Right. You can always be a mother here first, because 100%. Israeli culture is so in tune with family life.
Right. Also
so
for
in
us
tune.
dads, I gotta say.
No, they are.
No,
it's true.
They give us off all the time.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is an amazing place to raise a family because they are so accommodating to family needs.
Right.
Like, it's just, nobody will ever blink here if you say, like, I'm sorry, I have to cancel. Like, we have Asifat Horim tomorrow night. Nobody told us. Like,
no, 100%. That's
and they're like, they get it because they also might have Asifat Horim like in 3 weeks, and they just don't even know yet.
I also do.
Or for like Hanukkah,
we have tonight actually, but like they told us Sunday. when people from America call us like book things, I'm like, you're like, firstly, like you're a year in advance. Yeah. I can't even tell you a month in advance because I found out about parent teacher conferences on Sunday. Like, that's when we got the email. Sunday. Wow. It's Tuesday. So like, if I would have had an event booked tonight, I would have canceled it because I love you. I love what I do, but my kids come first. And like 100%. Showing up to parent teacher conferences is not fun, but like I feel like my kids feel loved by it.
To the meeting.
No.
I heard in Israel they bring their child to the parent interview.
What?
Yeah.
Because you haven't been to one.
That's what I heard. I don't. That's what I was told.
No, I never did that.
Okay.
I never did that. Like in Gan, it was like a klali, like a group parent-teacher conference. And in elementary school, well, my boys are in like more of a Haredi, like the Haredi system. So my boys, like just my husband goes. That's great. I never had to go. And my girls, he gets the better ends of the deal, by the way. We have like much more girls.
Dinner served.
No, we have much more girls. I have to go to much more parent-teacher conferences than he had to. But we go like one. Like what? How do you say? Like face to face? No, like one on one.
You and the teacher square off.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's good.
Okay, so no catering coming.
I don't think so because I don't I don't have the time for it. Like between the micro peas books,
Yeah, you're doing a lot.
Being a mom,
videoing, being a mom,
Yeah.
like we just have so much happening right now that I feel like, please God, like in the right time when my kids are older and whatever, like there's so many opportunities and things and dreams that I would
Yeah.
like to do. But now I want my dreams to be aligned with
family values.
No, with all my dreams, yeah, because being a good present mother is also a dream of mine. And for me, they don't conflict. They just
Amazing.
take, they take finesse of like when you do things, and timing is everything. And right now, this is a good time for me to be doing these mini cookbooks and for me to be creating content and cooking dinner with you on Instagram. And so I'm embracing that. And I'm not like, oh, I can't wait till I get to that stage. I don't want to live like that. I want to live in this stage and appreciate it and love it. And when I get there, great. I hope that there's dreams at that stage also. I don't need to do all the dreams today,
Beautiful.
you know?
Amazing. Like being a mom or a dad or any type of parent is really special, and that you consider that as like first priority. That's huge. Because a lot of people sometimes, it's not that it's not the priority, but sometimes they lose focus. So it's amazing to hear that.
Well, I think it's a privilege also,
a privilege,
the job that you
100%.
have. Not everybody gets to choose the job they want. And that's also, my heart does go out to people that are in jobs that they don't love, but they have to do and show up for every day. Because that's a huge sacrifice.
Who told them do what you love.
No, they're sacrificing for their
100%,
family.
right.
And that's also very, very admirable.
Right. And we want to thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Really, I got a huge appetite right now.
We gotta go eat now.
I should have brought treats.
But we're really glad to have you. Thank you so much for sharing everything. And we can't wait for micro peas.
Micro
Yeah.
peas, yeah.
Micro peas to
Boneless
come
chicken.
out.
We'll check it out.
We'll check it out. And
Thank you.
please let us know about these notes.
Okay.
I'm really pumped for that.
Maybe
Thanks
new
for
things in the
having
works
me.
for
Yeah,
Olim.
let's
Wine
do
book.
it.
Yeah.
Going there.
Wine book.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.